analysis of extremely is coming to a diagnosis. By the smallest amount of disease where, and then gradually going deeper layer by layer. From the anatomy, you go into the physiology, maybe just like hypokalemic. If not, you can pass. I think pulmonary cause ED. Okay, Aditya is saying. Huh? What? Yeah, membrane damage and then ED. Protein loss. So if there is protein loss, then in the small skin capillaries also there will be less protein, and that will cause fluid to go out because that protein is the reverse force. Edema and facial coverage. Later on, he developed what is renal failure. You know, the machine is getting damaged, but it has not failed. It's still going on. Your AC is still working, although it is damaged. After some time it just stops and then you have the heat and everything. AC doesn't work. So how do we know that the patient's kidney is not working? Some degrees, that indicates that the GFR is less. But other than that, some test. What molecular test? Huh? Creatinine. So that's at a molecular level. So you have reached the molecular level of diagnosis. Serum creatinine is increasing, but is being filtered. Maybe it's getting produced in the muscle and it needs to be filtered completely, which it is not, and it is indicating that the filter is not good. If you think of the body as a machine then, and unfortunately our curriculum is such that science, it makes us think of the body as a machine. There's no other way. Science is making us think that body is a machine. Do you agree? Body is a machine or not? Scientifically. What is that? Yes. As far as science is concerned, yes. As far as I am concerned, no. Nothing like that. You are not anti-science. You are pro-science. I mean, is that because of filter blockage? Why does the GFR come? Now I am talking asking a very more deeper question in terms of, I guess, physiology or pathophysiology. What happens in the kidney when the GFR is coming down? So we know that the membrane damage will make the protein leak. But what happens when the GFR is coming down? Why does the creatinine also not come down? I mean, creatinine is not getting filtered out. GFR is coming down. Why? Protein, urea is easy to explain. Damage, protein leak. What about coming down of GFR? The ones which can filter. So, let us say the kidney is 1 unit, 1 million nephrons. We remember that from 10 plus 2. So, 1 million nephrons, a few are reduced. So, how does that mean that... okay, so we need 1 million nephrons to completely filter out all the creatinine. If some are reduced, how much will be reduced to first give us an indication from 1.2 creatinine to 2.2 creatinine? How much should be reduced? Basically, you can talk in terms of GFR also. How much should be reduced to come down to a low GFR? Like as you know, Sophia knows that CKD is divided by GFR. Stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who is doing the kidney disease here, nephrosis? Oh, Arvind is doing it. Arvind is strongly disagreeing. Okay, let's go. Stage is less than 15. 15 to 30. Ah. 60. More than 90. More than 90. That means everybody is in stage 1. You also are seeking. There is also staging to that. Another is saying only when the GFR is reducing there is CKD. Which one do you think is more CKD? Reduction of GFR. Because it's saying that I'm filling it, saying it's damaged. It's not filled yet. I'm still getting the cool air. Once my cool air is gone, then I'm gone. But I don't know whether the cool air can create and go up. When did that happen?
Was high 7, he was admitted.
4 months back. Yeah, 4 months back. See, 6 months back he developed the problem. How quickly your AC machine can go wrong? 6 months back he developed the problem, developed edema, and within 2 months, entire machine got completely gone. And after that, the AC machine is on support system. Somehow it is working because of, it is not working actually. Somebody else is doing the work of it. That's called an artificial kidney. The machines which we use for this kidney work is called artificial kidney. In your textbooks also it is named the same. So how does the kidney fail? The normal kidney, how does it fail? Yeah, Radha, the amount of volume is going there. So what should be happening? Yeah, nephrons. So some of them are damaged, so they are not doing the work. But then you need to say the ones which are there. So of course, if it is happening, it always happens both the sides together. So we can't say one is completely normal and the others. Because if one is normal, everything is normal. So it must be happening in both the kidneys. So how much damage is required to first increase the clearance? From 1.2 to 2.2, which means stage 1 maybe. Is that stage 1 or stage 2? So eGFR is nothing but the serum creatinine, which you may use a formula to convert into GFR. eGFR. Easiest way is to type eGFR in Google, get the Google eGFR calculator, enter the value and you get it. It depends on the age, yes. Yes. So depending on age, the kidney function will anyway go down with aging. But the question is, how does the kidney have a reduced GFR? What happens at a cellular level? Sophia. Endothelium is where? And endothelium is in the glomerulus obviously. So if there is a damage there, we already know that has caused proteinuria. But why is it causing reduced GFR? How? Proteinuria, yes. Endothelial damage, protein leakage. How? Intraarterial constriction. Constriction. Right? Constriction is a physiological problem. I mean, something is happening. Electrical current is causing an energy dependent spasm of the artery. But what we are talking about is pathological. What has happened to this young man? Something pathological. Very interesting things have happened there. A lot of stories are written in your books about those also. Yes. Yeah, that is when the damage, initially there will be hyperfiltration because the glomeruli is porous, open, so more will go out. Later on, slowly as the inflammation proceeds and things become more packed, fibrosed, then the filtration also reduces. I think that is what the answer we were looking for. As the inflammation progresses, there is more and more fibrosis also going on. So automatically those areas are dysfunctional, as Radha rightly said, and they will not be able to filter out the whatever is coming. So if you have more areas which are not able to act as filters, obviously the overall filtration will come. That is how it happens. And why does it happen? What drives these inflammation? Why is it not happening to all of us right now? Who knows if it is happening? But we know that it is not. We think we are lucky. It is not going to happen to us, isn't it? At least from whatever we got. And suddenly one fine day his glomerulus gets attacked by his own WBC and they become bad, fibrosis, and his GFR also falls. And he becomes dependent on his brothers for a kidney. So are they going to do a transplant for him? What are his transplant prospects? Why have you not put him on the transplant program? You know that we run this in this college. There's a Jeevan Dan program. Are you aware of that? We have. One thing is nobody knew that it was there. Right now, like because we are sitting here discussing, now you came to know that we can do a cadaveric transplant in this institute. So now the second thing, other than informational, are the ones which are young people, which will obviously last long because as you know, as it ages, the GFR anyway goes down. So young kidneys is what we are looking for. So if a young person dies, who thinks about giving their patient's kidney? They are thinking about the young person who is dying. And they can't believe that he is going to go away from them. And then he will be no more. And then do the job. Anyone? What is good about transplant? Other than artificial kidney? What way? Huh? Okay, Arvind wants to say. Arvind? Complications. In transplant, there won't be any complications. So what is the better about transplant then? So what kind of complications in dialysis and what kind? So let's not talk about the complications. Let's talk about the efficacy. You know, in randomized controlled trials, there are only two things: efficacy and harms. So Arvind is looking at the harms, but I am saying that we need to know the efficacy. What is the good about it? If there is no good, we won't. Huh? Yeah, I mean, ideally, how much dialysis are you getting mostly every day? You're getting dialyzed, you know that? 24 hours. Your kidneys are doing it for you. Your natural kidneys. So this man, he will not get 24 hour dialysis. Nobody gets that. One thing is, the efficacy that way is bad. You do it only for 4 hours. That too 4 hours, just imagine if you have to leave your work for 4 hours and come and sit with these interns and get dialyzed, and then you have to go home. How would you feel? Plus, as Arvind said, there are so many complications which can happen. The entire blood is going out, again it is coming back. So many things. So that's why we do go for transplant. That's why we want you all to become transplant mitras. What is that? Transplant coordinators. As interns, you should, approach people who are and their families and try to convince them. Can you give the kidneys? Huh? In the last 20 years. In the last 20 years. Huh? Hey, Sukhya is asking, why will somebody agree to give their patient who is dying their kidneys? Is that the question? So the last 20 years than the natural kidneys. Okay, so we have the commonest hypothesis, and the glomerular slowly gave away, and it could not filter any longer. The creatinine started rising, and because it could not filter, when did we start to replace his kidneys with artificial kidney support? So there's indication also. Like that the kidneys are completely irreversibly gone. So that is the time when you have decided it's irreversibly gone, there's no other way out, you start the dialysis. So maybe that was done, or maybe he had some life-threatening indications for dialysis. Did he? What are the life-threatening indications, MCQ, for dialysis? That was, in fact, this remained the only indication. And maybe even in our center, these are the only indications. Potassium. Hyperkalemia, resistant hyperkalemia. Like you have given some medication for it, it's not coming down. Yes. Encephalopathy. Very good. Uric encephalopathy. Yes.
Pulmonary edema.
Huh?
Pulmonary edema.
Pulmonary edema, refractory pulmonary edema. Yes. With fusimide, it's not coming down. Metabolic acidosis, very important. Acidosis expert there. What else? And bleeding disorder, platelet dysfunction. The person is bleeding. You do the dialysis, he will become better. The platelets start functioning. So Priyanka, what is there in that which causes platelet dysfunction? It's a MCQ. Platelet dysfunction. Which chemical, just like creatinine, doesn't get excreted. Again, it's a story. We don't know really. I mean, adding itchy. G, guanidino something. Huh? Okay, look it up. I mean, platelet dysfunction is because of that chemical, and if we can do dialysis, that chemical will be taken out, and then we will be better. Now, there is another interesting hypothesis, the middle molecule hypothesis, which is like when we are doing dialysis in the last 50 years, we have been doing it without knowing what molecules are we taking out, which is making the patient better. Like we know about the acidosis part, acid part we are taking, we know. Platelet also we are thinking that it may be that. But what about uremic encephalopathy? How does the patient become better with uremic encephalopathy? How does pericarditis become better? What are those molecules? Till now, nobody knows. Just imagine we are able to give a solution without knowing how it is working. All we have made is a technological solution, a filter, which is filtering out something. We don't know what that something is. Those somethings are middle molecules. Because we have evaluated all by their molecular weight. So, low molecular weight, high molecular weight, in between there are some molecules which we don't know. So, we just call them as middle molecules. But so what else do we don't get in dialysis, which the kidney manufactures? Can you tell us, Rubina? What does the kidney manufacture, which you cannot get in dialysis? Kidney's contribution. Erythropoietin, yes. What else? Vitamin D.
Vitamin D.
Those things are also not available. That is the additional benefit of transplant. So anyway, that we give it separately because of physiological reasons. They will reduce the GFR by causing, as they were saying, vasoconstriction. So the GFR will come down automatically. Or I think vasodilatation maybe. So either way it will reduce the blood flow. So one of them is cyclosporin. Very, very dangerous. They are called medical nephrectomy drugs. What else can cause medical nephrectomy? NSAID. So NSAID, cyclosporin. I don't know all this. I don't know. That reduces the GFR. Yeah, I mean, we are not talking about immunosuppressant. We are talking about what causes medical nephrectomy for their heat and sickness. You know? Huh? Okay, are they nephrotoxic but not, reduce? NSAIDs, you just give and the kidneys will just go. Switch off completely. Depending on the dose. Cyclosporin is one of them. So we were giving cyclosporin to that man to suppress his immune system so that his kidneys are not attacked again by him. And the creatinine went up because of that. And Sophia did the renal biopsy thinking it was rejection. I don't know, Sophia or Rashmita. Who was it? Who was looking at other thing? So he had developed increased creatinine. So if the creatinine is increased, there will be fluid overload, and if the cardiac is not supporting, he will develop pulmonary edema, which you learned about yesterday, how a pulmonary edema looks. So he was having shortness of breath. So you could have given him Lasix, but why could we not figure out that it was because of cyclosporin and not due to rejection? So we did not do the biopsy here. Is it very difficult to do a renal biopsy in the transplant kidney? Can somebody not do it? You can all palpate the kidneys. Have you palpated a graft kidney? Yeah, because we are not encouraging real transplants here. How will you palpate it? If you had a lot of transplants, every day you would have palpated a graft kidney. Because it's just in the right iliac fossa. He gave him methylprednisolone, thinking that it was a graft rejection. But it was cyclosporin. So if you had done the cyclosporin level, we would have known that. That is the only thing where we did not discuss and we did not brainstorm. So the more you share, the more chances of error are reduced. Because somebody will think of that thing which you have missed. Don't keep things to yourself. Share it out. Till now we have not learned anything because whatever she told we already knew. Isn't it? Priyanka, you are... Yeah, you see the basic two questions in medicine around every patient is, where is the problem? Why is the problem? So when we say where, it is the localization. We already discussed that, the globulars. Now she is asking why. Why did that happen? Why did the inflammation happen? I mean, all inflammation is followed by fibrosis, so that's not a problem. But why did this person have this inflammation? Why are we not having it right now? Violence. Inflammation is violence. When is this violence triggered? When there is disagreement, when there is loss of tolerance, isn't it? In transplant also it's like that. When you put the kidney, if the body is tolerant to that new kidney, it is accepted. If you take the kidney of your twin, it will accept it. Because the cells know each other from a long time, from the womb. So automatically there is almost 100% match. But other cells are not tolerated. Other people are not tolerated in this world. Thinks that it is there in the glomerulus. For Vaishnavi, other Vaishnavi's patient, it was thinking that it is there in the myelin sheath and in the neurons around the diencephalon and the midbrain. For Sophia's patient, it was thinking it is in the myelin sheath of the peripheral nerves. Isn't it? I can't remember other stories. But yeah, for each and every organ, the story is the same. Intolerance, violence. That is the story of this question again and again. Steroids, I mean, to start with the basic immune support, cellular, molecular level. You can freely pass the question. Pass it to Preeti or Aditya, whoever. There's no binding. You should not most fear.
Cytokines doesn't make action of cytokines.
It reduces the action of cytokines. Do you agree, Sushmita? Downstream maybe, but how does it, at what level does it come? Okay, Sophia maybe. Yeah, Sophia knew that it was. Huh? Yeah, where are the GREs? Location of the GREs. So glucocorticoid response elements are acted upon. Are they directly acted upon by the steroids? They are basically the receptors for those, and they are the proteins, like all receptors. So who makes these proteins? The genome, upstream. So upstream is always the genome and downstream is the molecular protein pathways. So upstream it goes and switches off a genome which makes the GREs, the glucocorticoid response elements. Or I think it activates it because it needs those. And once that happens, it activates other genomic mechanisms to reduce the cytokine production, as you said. Ultimately, it's all about the lymphokines, which are the molecules which are causing the damage. How do lymphokines cause damage? Which further signal downstream to produce cytokines, it switches it off. I mean, I'm vague about it. I also don't remember actually, to be honest. So I'm hoping that somebody will read up and tell us on Monday, because we have been raising this question, and my point of raising the question is also for something in this environment. He was a farmer. One fine day he might have met something which entered him. It could be a COVID virus for all you know. And then as soon as the antigen entered, then the immune system got triggered. That this thing cannot enter our premises. And it just started the mechanism of immune attack and destruction, and it was targeted to the glomerular antigen. Although it may have been an external antigen, but they thought it was the glomerular antigen somehow. That is the means of communication through molecular signaling, and they started damaging the glomerular. So this is what is happening in a gross manner, from whatever research has told us, in a gross way. But yeah, we need more finer research to go into those signaling pathways if we want to block them from happening at all. So, that's a good thing. So, what is the role of erythropoietin in renal failure? What is the efficacy of placebo not increasing to that much? There was a significant difference between the placebo group and the erythropoietin group, where maybe around 2, maybe just around 2 more hemoglobin were increased by the erythropoietin. In our patient who was presented, he remarkably improved his anemia, remarkably improved after we started the erythropoietin. Now we don't know whether it was a time regression to the mean or whether it was because of the erythropoietin. We can't be sure because we did not give him placebo. So we really don't know what would have happened if we did not do that. But somehow now his hemoglobin is 10 to 12, 11 with erythropoietin, which he was taking in a higher dose. That patient had some hyperuricemia, which you expect in these metabolically deranged patients. That's because of the renal excretion also. But his hemoglobin was low because of the, obviously because of the low erythropoietin in his circulation. And we had a doubt whether erythropoietin really helps. But your one paper kind of showed us that it does have some efficacy. And in our patient, when we gave him erythropoietin, before that we are not giving him. After we started giving him, now his hemoglobin is improved to near normal levels. In fact, our patient is now ready for a transplant, but we are not ready. When we do it in a usual kidney, there are so many patterns: primary glomerular injury, either minimal change, membranous, FSGS, membranoproliferative. But how does a graft kidney biopsy help us? So it will just confirm that yes, the kidney is under attack and it is not because of cyclosporine, isn't it? So in your patient, they found a normal biopsy and cyclosporine levels were raised. So they figured out, yes, they have to reduce the cyclosporine and that was it. So they may have actually done the cyclosporine first and reduced it and then see, instead of going ahead with the biopsy. That would have been much more efficient because both cyclosporine increase as well as this. Yeah, it is possible. So cyclosporine can always be toxic, If it doesn't recover, then you have to do the biopsy automatically. Any ECG? ECG. Good. Yes, very good. So see, the ECG and X-ray are the ones for the interns to answer. And if we have the 8 semesters, they will also do it. Tell us what is the important thing in this ECG and what is there in the X-ray. So Preeti is saying inverted T waves, some ST elevation maybe. What is more important here? How? By the voltage. As you can see, the V3, V4, the voltage is overlapping. See, the R and S, they are overlapping in each other. Voltage is high. So that indicates LVH along with the T wave inversion, STD changes, that indicates LVH. And plus we know that he is supposed to have it because of his hypertension and all. So we are already biased towards LVH. Now left axis, we okay I think. Yeah, axis. Alright. So let's go to the X-ray. Yes. Now who is going to read this X-ray? In the X-ray you have to see what are the structures that make the right border of heart, what are the structures that make the left border of heart. Then tell us what is wrong with those structures. Who is going to say this? The superior vena cava and then the right atrium. Are they normal looking? And then there is a right inferior lobar branch of the pulmonary artery also, which looks to be slightly bigger. Normally in males it could be 1.3 centimeters. Here I am guessing if you measure it will be around 2. So maybe that is also abnormal. And there are a lot of lines, interstitial shadows, which are there in the hilum area. Huh? What appearance? Pot and wool appearance. Okay, whatever. So, what are the structures make the left border? First structure is the aortic knuckle. Now look at the aortic knuckle, and after that there is a concavity supposedly. But you see the concavity is lost. There is a convexity there, and there is something which is jutting into that place with a big, making the hilum bigger. And what is that? The main pulmonary artery. The pulmonary bay is full. That's called the full pulmonary bay because of the dilated main pulmonary artery. And now that antler sign, who was saying he is not here? He is there. Antler sign. All those things are going up. So maybe suggestion of venous hypertension there from pulmonary artery which is dilated. This is how it looks like. Hand plus, you see how the branching is there? Just like the stag hand plus hand. Now, then there comes the left atrial appendage, which is okay, and the left ventricle, which seems to be slightly more or less okay. Yeah. But because it's a concentric hypertrophy, so we are expecting something. So there may be some mild cardiomegaly here. You can measure it. How do you measure cardiomegaly?
The ratio of
Yes, the ratio of
the heart to the total.
thoracic diameter. How do you calculate the heart diameter and the thoracic diameter? Can anybody show us there how to calculate it? These are pulmonary edema, early pulmonary edema and pulmonary venous hypertension, which is suggesting that there could be left ventricular overload. So whenever we say fluid overload, it is not just the kidney, it is the heart also. Ultimately, through the heart only it is getting overloaded into the lungs. So there is a left ventricular volume overload which is causing this pulmonary edema, early pulmonary edema. Anything else here? Please. Somebody must be pressing yes for 30 seconds. Yes. So I think this the interns are seeing for a long time. How many years have you been seeing this pedal edema? When was the first time you saw